On a warm summer evening in 1970, the streets of America belonged to horsepower. At drive-ins, gas stations, and stoplights, conversations often revolved around one thing: who had the fastest machine in town. Among the countless muscle cars prowling the roads, whispers began spreading about a particularly dangerous Pontiac. It wasn't just another GTO. It carried the rare Ram Air IV engine, a power plant so aggressive that even experienced racers approached it with caution. To understand why this car became one of the most feared street machines of its era, the story must begin years before its arrival. The roots of the 1970 Pontiac GTO Ram Air IV can be traced back to the early 1960s, when the American automobile industry was entering a golden age of performance. The post-war economy was booming, and a new generation of young drivers wanted cars that offered more than transportation. They wanted speed, style, and excitement. Manufacturers quickly realized that performance sold cars, and the race to build faster machines intensified every year. At Pontiac, a major transformation was underway. Once known primarily for conservative family automobiles, the division was being reshaped by ambitious executives and engineers who believed Pontiac could become a performance leader. Among the most influential figures was John DeLorean, whose vision helped steer the brand toward a younger and more enthusiastic audience. The turning point came in 1964 with the introduction of the Pontiac GTO. By placing a large displacement V8 engine into a midsize vehicle, Pontiac accidentally created a new category of automobile. The GTO delivered exceptional straight-line performance at an affordable price, and buyers responded immediately. Sales exceeded expectations, and competitors soon rushed to create their own muscle cars. Throughout the mid and late 1960s, the muscle car wars escalated dramatically. Ford introduced increasingly powerful Mustangs and Fairlanes. Chevrolet offered the Chevelle SS and Camaro. Dodge unleashed the Charger and Super B. Plymouth brought out the Road Runner, while Buick and Oldsmobile developed their own high-performance models. Every manufacturer sought to dominate the quarter-mile and capture the attention of performance enthusiasts. Pontiac understood that standing still meant falling behind. Engineers continuously refined the company's V8 engines, searching for ways to increase horsepower and improve performance. One area received particular attention: airflow. Engineers knew that improving the amount of air entering and exiting an engine could significantly increase power. This philosophy led to the development of Pontiac's famous Ram Air program. The concept was straightforward but effective. Functional hood scoops directed cooler outside air into the engine, improving combustion efficiency and performance. Over time, Pontiac introduced increasingly advanced versions of the package. Ram Air I established the foundation. Ram Air II added stronger components and better cylinder heads. Ram Air III offered impressive performance while remaining relatively street-friendly. Yet Pontiac engineers believed they could push the concept even further. Their answer was the Ram Air IV. Developed during the late 1960s, the Ram Air IV represented the most extreme factory performance engine Pontiac had ever created. Engineers redesigned critical components to maximize airflow and high RPM power. Special round-port cylinder heads improved exhaust flow, while a more aggressive camshaft allowed the engine to breathe efficiently at higher engine speeds. Strong forged internal parts enhanced durability, ensuring the engine could withstand demanding use. Unlike many performance engines of the period, the Ram Air IV was not designed merely to produce impressive specifications on paper. It was engineered to dominate both the street and the drag strip. Drivers willing to keep the engine in its power band discovered a machine capable of extraordinary acceleration. As 1969 came to a close, however, clouds were gathering over the muscle car era. Insurance companies were raising premiums on high-performance vehicles. Federal safety and emissions regulations were becoming stricter. Many industry insiders sensed that the days of unrestricted horsepower might soon end. Pontiac's engineers recognized the changing landscape. The upcoming 1970 model year offered perhaps one final opportunity to create the ultimate expression of the classic muscle car. They intended to make it count. When the redesigned 1970 Pontiac GTO arrived with the mighty Ram Air IV under its hood, it represented the culmination of everything Pontiac had learned during years of competition, innovation, and performance development. The stage was set for one of the most legendary muscle cars ever built, and the streets of America were about to meet a true monster. Part 2, 700 words. The key turned, the starter engaged, and the massive V8 exploded to life with a deep, uneven rumble that echoed through the dealership lot. It was 1970, and for the lucky few who ordered a Pontiac GTO equipped with the Ram Air IV engine, that first startup was unforgettable. The car didn't sound refined or restrained. It sounded impatient. Even at idle, it hinted at the tremendous power waiting beneath the hood. This was not merely transportation. It was a machine built during the peak of America's horsepower obsession. By the time the 1970 model year arrived, Pontiac engineers had spent years refining the GTO formula. Competition among Detroit manufacturers had become more intense than ever, and every company wanted to claim supremacy in the muscle car market. Pontiac's answer was the Ram Air IV, an engine package that represented the division's most serious performance effort. At the heart of the car sat a 400 cubic inch V8 engine. While the displacement was the same as other Pontiac performance engines, the Ram Air IV was far more sophisticated internally. Engineers equipped it with special high-flow cylinder heads featuring round exhaust ports, a design that improved breathing efficiency. The engine also received larger valves, strengthened internals, and one of the most aggressive factory camshafts available in an American production car. The result was an engine that behaved differently from many of its competitors. At low speeds it could feel rough and demanding, but once the tachometer began climbing, the Ram Air IV came alive. Power surged through the upper RPM range with an intensity that surprised even experienced drivers. Officially, Pontiac rated the Ram Air IV at 370 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque. Yet few enthusiasts believed those figures told the entire story. During the muscle car era, manufacturers often understated horsepower ratings for insurance and marketing reasons. Many experts have since suggested that the actual output was significantly higher. The engine's functional Ram air induction system helped maximize performance. Hood scoops directed cooler outside air toward the carburetor, allowing the engine to breathe more effectively. Combined with its high-compression design, the Ram Air IV produced remarkable acceleration for its time. Buyers could pair the engine with either a close-ratio 4-speed manual transmission or a heavy-duty turbo Hudra-Muttuck automatic. Serious performance enthusiasts often preferred the 4-speed, which allowed them to keep the engine operating within its most powerful range. Rear axle ratios could also be selected to match driving preferences, further enhancing the car's capabilities. Pontiac didn't focus solely on engine performance. The 1970 GTO featured suspension upgrades designed to manage its impressive power output. Heavy-duty springs, shocks, and stabilizer bars improved handling, while power front disc brakes provided increased stopping capability. Though muscle cars were primarily known for straight-line speed, Pontiac wanted the GTO to offer confidence in a variety of driving situations. The exterior styling of the 1970 GTO was equally memorable. A redesigned front end gave the car a more aggressive appearance than previous generations. The distinctive Unda front bumper blended seamlessly into the bodywork, creating a muscular and modern look. Twin hood scoops hinted at the power underneath, while the overall design projected strength from every angle. For buyers seeking even more visual impact, Pontiac offered the famous Judge package. Originally introduced as a youth-oriented performance option, the Judge added bold stripes, distinctive graphics, and a rear spoiler. When combined with the Ram Air IV engine, the Judge became one of the most desirable muscle cars available anywhere in America. Automotive magazines quickly took notice. Road tests published during 1970 praised the Ram Air IV's explosive acceleration and impressive quarter-mile performance. Skilled drivers could push the car through the quarter-mile in the low 13-second range, an astonishing achievement for a factory-produced street vehicle of the era. On the street, few cars could challenge it successfully. Its rivals included formidable competitors such as the Chevrolet Cheval SS 454, Plymouth Roadrunner 446 Barrel, Dodge Super B, and Ford Torino Cobra. Yet the Ram Air IV GTO earned a unique reputation because of its combination of raw power, engineering sophistication, and rarity. It wasn't simply fast, it felt special. Street racers across America quickly learned to respect the car. Stories spread of Ram Air IV GTOs defeating supposedly stronger competitors. Drivers discovered that the engine's true strength emerged at higher RPM, where its advanced breathing characteristics allowed it to pull hard long after other engines began losing momentum. The reputation grew rapidly. What began as a high-performance option soon became a legend among enthusiasts. At drag strips, car shows, and late-night gatherings, the Ram Air IV became a symbol of Pontiac's engineering excellence and determination to compete with the best Detroit had to offer. By the middle of 1970, one thing had become clear. Pontiac had succeeded in creating far more than another muscle car. The Ram Air IV GTO had become a genuine street monster, feared by competitors and admired by enthusiasts alike. Yet even as its legend grew, forces beyond Pontiac's control were beginning to reshape the automotive world, threatening the future of cars like this forever. The roar of high-compression V8 engines still echoed across American streets in 1970, but the golden age of muscle cars was already beginning to fade. Few enthusiasts realized it at the time, yet vehicles like the Pontiac GTO Ram Air IV represented the final peak of an era that would soon disappear. What seemed like the beginning of an exciting future was actually the closing chapter of one of the most celebrated periods in automotive history. As the 1970s began, several powerful forces started working against the muscle car industry. Insurance companies had become increasingly concerned about the growing number of young drivers purchasing high-horsepower vehicles. Premiums for performance cars rose dramatically, making them more expensive to own. At the same time, new federal emissions regulations forced manufacturers to rethink engine designs. Higher compression ratios, aggressive camshafts, and race-inspired tuning were becoming difficult to maintain under changing government requirements. The fuel crisis and shifting consumer priorities would soon add even more pressure. The automotive landscape that had allowed machines like the Ram Air IV to flourish was rapidly changing. Because of these circumstances, the 1970 Pontiac GTO Ram Air IV was produced in relatively small numbers. Compared to standard GTO models, only a limited number received the highly specialized Ram Air IV engine package. This rarity would later become one of the car's defining characteristics. During the 1970s, many Ram Air IV cars were simply used as intended. Owners raced them, modified them, or drove them daily. Few people imagined that these vehicles would one day become valuable collector pieces. As years passed, accidents, rust, neglect, and engine swaps reduced the number of surviving examples. By the early 1980s, however, attitudes began to change. A new generation of enthusiasts started looking back at the muscle car era with admiration. Collectors recognized that the high-performance machines of the late 1960s and early 1970s represented something unique in American automotive history. Among Pontiac enthusiasts, the Ram Air IV quickly gained a reputation as one of the division's greatest achievements. Interest continued growing throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Restoration projects became increasingly common, and enthusiasts searched for original documentation, factory parts, and matching numbers examples. As more information became available, collectors realized just how special the Ram Air IV truly was. Unlike many muscle cars that relied primarily on displacement, the Ram Air IV showcased sophisticated engineering. Its advanced cylinder heads, carefully designed induction system, and aggressive internal components demonstrated Pontiac's commitment to performance excellence. Many enthusiasts viewed it as the ultimate evolution of Pontiac's traditional muscle car philosophy. Auction prices reflected that growing appreciation. By the early 2000s, well-preserved Ram Air IV GTOs had become highly sought-after collector vehicles. Exceptional examples frequently commanded impressive prices, particularly when equipped with rare options or complete documentation. Some restored cars eventually sold for amounts that would have seemed unimaginable when they were new. Yet the Ram Air IV's value extends beyond money. Its true significance lies in what it represents. The car embodies the peak of Pontiac's performance ambitions during the original muscle car era. It serves as a reminder of a time when engineers were given extraordinary freedom to pursue horsepower, innovation, and excitement without many of the restrictions that would later transform the industry. Today, surviving Ram Air IV GTOs remain stars at automotive events across America. Enthusiasts gather around them not only because of their rarity, but because of their historical importance. The distinctive hood scoops, muscular styling, and legendary engine continue to capture attention decades after production ended. When collectors discuss the greatest muscle cars ever built, the 1970 Pontiac GTO Ram Air IV consistently appears alongside icons such as the Hummer Kyutta, Chevrolet Cheval LS6, and Buick GSX. It earned that position through a combination of performance, engineering excellence, and historical significance. More than half a century after it first appeared, the Ram Air IV remains one of the most respected and desirable Pontiacs ever produced. It was born during the fiercest years of the muscle car wars, reached the streets at the height of America's horsepower obsession, and survived to become a legend. The 1970 Pontiac GTO Ram Air IV was more than a fast car. It was the ultimate expression of Pontiac performance, a machine built at the precise moment when American muscle reached its peak. For that reason, it remains America's street monster, a symbol of an unforgettable era that continues to inspire enthusiasts around the world.